All right, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It's your boy Gary Scott, aka the Solid Pip Assassin. And today, guys, I'm going to be breaking down the market to you, finding these candlesticks that you want to look for at these certain areas of values, depending on which trend that you're in, right? We always want to follow the trend, right? We always wants to follow the trend. We don't want to go against it, right? The moment you go against it is the moment that you can set yourself up for failure. Okay. So right? We got three different types of trends, right? You got an uptrend, you have a downtrend, right? And then you have a sideways moving market. I'm not going to go over the sideways moving market simply because that's something that we want to stay away from, right? But it got again, if you've been on the sessions with me before, you know the sideways moving markets, the ranging markets, they are beneficial. You just have to understand whatever happens before it happened. More times than not, that's what's going to happen after. All right, but I'm simply going to be going over the uptrends and the downtrends and the particular candlestick patterns that you want to see at these levels. Okay, so let's start with the uptrend. How do we know it's an uptrend, right? Well, when price creates this particular high here, right? When it creates this high and then comes back down to create this higher low, right? The moment that this higher low is created, simply because it couldn't go back past this low that started the move to the upside, right? We want to see price shoot past this high. All right. The moment that price shoots past this high is the moment that we want to see price break it. All right. And then come back and find an area of value. Now, one of the areas of values that could happen at this particular level, right? It could be a definitely an order block. All right. So let's mark that off as such. All right. We know that that's an order block. So the candle patterns that you would want to see simply from this level, right? You want to see, and I'm gonna write them out so you guys can see it, right? You want to see, right? You may get a bearish candle to the downside, right? You may get a bearish candle like this to the downside. All right. Let's see. Boom. All right. You may get a bearish candle that comes down to this order block, but then what may happen, right, is you can definitely end up getting, right, a bullish candle that surpasses the high of that candle, right? So let's lock that up because now what we want to see here is a bullish candle come off of this level. So it'll look something like this, right? I'm gonna try to make it these examples look as pristine as it could possibly even look on the charts in itself, okay? But this is definitely this candlestick pattern right here is called the engulfing candlestick. All right. Right? You have your engulfing candlestick here. Price came down to this order block. It created your bullish engulfing candlestick, right? This is where we would want to take our entry from, right? You have a lot of people that get into the market, and as soon as it hits your area of value, they take it without seeing confirmation. All right. You do not want to take a trade without seeing confirmation. That's like, that's like you taking a test, but not studying, right? That's like you starting your car and you want to go somewhere, but you don't go because you don't put the car in drive, right? It takes steps in order to put the car in drive. You have to put your foot on the brake, right? Now with these new cars, you got to put your foot on the brake. You got to pull the prindle back, right? Pull it back, and then you can start moving, right? It takes steps in order to get to that level. So these steps that we take, right, creating those new highs, price coming back to your areas of value, which can be an order block. In this case, it also can even be a fair value gap, right? So you want to see a bullish engulfing candlestick close right above the bearish candlestick that appeared before it. All right. This is where you will get your entry, right? The moment that that candle closes, and then you will put your SL beneath your area of value. Okay, that's one. Now let's go and let's switch it up. Let's invert the scale, right? And let's put it into as if it was a selling setup, right? You'll want to see a bearish candle surpass what? You'll want to see a, give me 1 second. It's actually took my, there we go. Right? You'll want to see a bearish candle close below this bullish candle, right? Where does price pull back to? It pulls back to a fair value gap in the market, or an even pull back to an order block in this case, right? Because there's no structure over here, right? That price can come back to. The only thing that we could have price come to is a fair value gap or an order block in this case, right? So you got price creating this new lower high. We take our entry the moment that this candle closes and we place our SL above our area of value, right? Price surpasses the last low that it created. So when price creates that new low, in this case, what happened? Right? Price came right back to a structural level. Okay. Now, when we get to this level, and let me mark it off as such as a structural level, right? We want to see, I'm gonna put this into perspective again. Let's say this was, right, a bullish candle. All right. And let's just say it looked something like this, right? Let's put the wicks on there. All right. Just put the wicks on and then so that way it looks realistic, right? You got your wicks on your candlesticks, you got your blue candlestick that came to your structure level, but then what happened, right? Let's just say price created, right? Let's just say price created a doji candlestick, right? Small body, right? With wicks on both sides, right? Let me put that back. Right? You got your wick there, and then you also have your wick here, right? You got your doji candlestick, and then you have your bearish candlestick that comes right after that, right? And it creates something that we like to call a what? A evening star pattern. All right, you get your bearish candlestick, you get your doji candlestick, and then you get your bullish candlestick, your doji candlestick, and then you get your bearish candlestick to the downside. All right, this pattern here is called your evening star. So what you would want to see is this candle close bearish, right? You take your entry from this particular point here, switch this up. All right, you take your entry here, SL above your area of value, right? And then you're taking the trade back below the low. Does that make sense? Right? That's what we want to see. You want to see certain candlesticks appear at these areas of value. Okay. That gives us our confirmation, right? That gives us our confirmation to actually take the trade. Okay. Again, like I said before, you do not want to get in a trade without confirmation, right? You have a lot of people in the market, and there's nothing wrong with it. They'll enter the moment that price gets to those areas of value without confirmation. Okay. I like to wait for confirmation. I like to know that this setup is confirmed that it was going to go in a certain direction. Okay? So, right? That happened. You got your evening star. If we reversed it, right? If we went back on the inverted scale and we switched the candle colors, right? We switch the candle colors, you flip-flop them, right? And let's just say you have a bullish candlestick here and a bearish candlestick here, right? This pattern right here at the structural level, right? Create a bearish candle, a doji, and then a bullish candle. This simply shows us that this is a morning star pattern. That is one of the most strongest candlestick patterns that you will ever see in the market. Okay. So, boom, what ends up happening? Price ends up breaking structure. You take your entry, SL below your area of value, and you're aiming either at the high or above your high. Okay. So, right, creates the high. Let's just say, right, price decided to come back to, let's just say a fair value gap level about right here, right? If that happens, right, let me draw another pattern that could definitely appear, right? at these areas of value. You got your engulfing candle, you got your morning star, and then you can even have this particular setup here. All right, stick with me. So let's see, fix this and change the color to bearish. Take this off. All right, you got your bearish candlestick here. All right, got wicks on both sides of it. Right. I'm sorry, I picked the wrong one, I think. Yeah, you got your wick that comes here, right? And then let's just say you have, right, a candlestick that's even smaller than this, right? But it's a bullish candlestick and it closed above our area of value, right? Let's change the color to blue, right? You have your bullish candlestick. What do you notice about that particular candlestick, right? You notice that it does not have wicks on either side of the candle, and it's smaller than this bearish candlestick, right? Okay, a lot of people may think, oh, well, this candlestick is not significant. It actually is, right? Because it can also play as a pregnant lady, and if we think about ladies having ladies having kids, right? They end up growing eventually, right? We were once babies at one point. We grew to be adults, right? So yes, it's a pregnant lady, but it's also even something that I like to call, right, a Maribozu candlestick. If you've studied the candlesticks like I've expressed to you to study, you will get this. This will make a lot of sense, right? Why is it called a Maribozu candlestick? Well, because it has no wick at the bottom and it has no wick above, meaning price only thought about going up, right? Price only thought about going up and didn't think about anything else, right? So we can take our entry from this point because it closed above our area of value, right? Entry here, SL below this level, and then we're looking to aim back above those highs. All right, everybody got that, right? These are three key candlestick pattern setups that you can most definitely see, right, at our areas of value. All right, there are more, okay? There are more, but this is what you want to see. These are the patterns you want to see at these levels. Now, you can have something along the lines of this right here. All right, if I unlock this, you can have something along the lines of price even giving you, right, a large Maribozu candlestick where it's also considered an engulfing, but the candle in itself is called a Maribozu. Okay. You can also even have this type of Maribozu, right? There's three types of bullish Maribozus and there's three types of bearish Maribozus. All right. Because remember, what happens on one side will tend to happen on another. Okay. Sometimes you may have a Maribozu candlestick and it may have a wick that comes out the top of it, right? It's still closed above the body of that selling candle, right? But it still showed you it had never thought about going to the downside. The moment that it opened, it never thought about going to the downside, right? It's called a Maribozu, right? A bullish opening, if I'm not mistaken, a bullish opening Maribozu, right? And if you put your
Qué mal,
mics on mute
qué
for me,
mal.
all right? Sorry about that, guys. But yes, these are also, I like to call them flat bottom candles. All right, flat bottom candles. All right, we take our entry from these points, SLs below that level, and we aim towards the highs. Okay, so now, right, how could a closing Maribozu look? Well, let's put it into perspective. We can simply take this here, right, and we can put this at the bottom end of this particular candle, right? Yes, the candle thought about going to the downside, but what did it end up doing? It ended up pushing to the upside. So this candlestick pattern right here is called your bullish closing Maribozu. Okay, a flat top, meaning price never thought about going down again and only thought about going up. So we take our entry from that point, right? It sells below that level, and we're taking the trades back above the highs. Okay, because if they break these levels, if price ends up breaking and closing below our areas of value, it was meant to happen. All right. And that's just sometimes those trades happen and you're going to have to take that L. L's happen in the market always, and you're never going to you're never going to get away from taking L's in the market. But it's about minimizing them. All right. It's about minimizing them and putting yourself in position, right, to take these trade setups at at beneficial levels, right? We're not taking trades in space, right? The moment you take a trade in space is the moment that you're floating, right? And we don't want to just float. We want to move with intention like a rocket, right? We want to move with intention. So, all right, if we flip the scale, like we flip the scale and we just flip everything, right? Let's just again flip the colors of everything, right? It's all we're doing is just flipping the colors, right? This is a bullish candle now. This is a bearish candle. All right. Once price breaks the low and creates that new low, it's going to retest to find an area of value, right? The area of value that price came back to when it created, right? This particular setup is a opening Maribozu. Now this is considered an opening. It's flip flop. Instead of it being closing like a bullish one, this one will be closing. All right. All right, you have your closing Maribozu where price shot up, but then it eventually closed below, right? Your area of value. We take our entry, it sells above, and we're taking the trade back to the downside. Okay. Now, this may be times where it does not have a wick and it's just simply a candlestick. No wicks on either side, meaning price only thought about going down, right? Take your entry, place your SL above that level, and we're going to aim towards the downside. Okay. So you got your evening star, you got your engulfing candlestick, and then you also have your Maribozu candlesticks that will appear in the market, right? Another Maribozu candlestick, how it will look, it'll look something like that, right? Where it has a wick at the bottom end, but it has a flat top, right? A very flat top. So we're looking to take the trade where? Back to the downside. All right. Is this making sense to if this is making sense to everybody thus far, right? Type of PO3 in the chat if this is making sense thus far. All right. Right. And this is exactly how I take my setups. Right. These is exactly how I take my setups. I let the market show itself. I let it give me candlestick patterns, right? And then I'm taking action off of the candlestick patterns at these areas of value, whether it's a win or a loss, right? I'm going to follow the same method through and through because I've been successful with it, right? And this is simply right. This is simply what the market is, right? It's no oh I make this up, this happens. No, the market is simplified in its simplest form right here, right? Boom. You take your entry. Again, SLs above your areas of value, and we're aiming towards the lows, right? The market is always going to set itself up to give you a setup. Are you going to be ready? That's the question, right? Are you going to be prepared? Are you going to be confident? Are you going to be greedy? Because there's no need to be greedy in the market. The market is always going to give you what you need when you need it, right? So cool, right? We explain different setups, right, from different levels, and it all goes together, and it all goes together, right? It's just about letting the trades work themselves out, right? If you think, oh man, I'm missing this, no, there's going to be another opportunity. The market's going to set itself up to find where it can potentially take another trade from. Okay. Let's just say, right, price, let's take this out of the way and let's push this up here, right? This particular pattern is called what? Does anybody know what that particular candlestick pattern is called? This small red one right here. Anybody know? Right? Does anybody know? Let's see. Type it up if you can, if you think you know what it is. Right? It can be two types of candles. It can be a Maribozu. I want somebody to name the other one. What's the other one that it can also be identified as? If you don't know, type a one in the chat and then I'll tell you what it is. Okay, we got a couple of ones. That's okay. That is called a pregnant lady, right? That's a pregnant lady candlestick. Why is it a pregnant lady? Because it is smaller than that bullish candlestick, right? It is very much so smaller than that candlestick. But what we have to take into account is that it still closed below our area of value. And because it did so, right, we also have to take into account that this candle that as it is right now doesn't have a wick, but let's say I put a wick on it, right? But this candle closed below. That's still considered a pregnant lady candlestick. When you think about a pregnant lady, the lady has a baby, right? Does a baby stay the same age? Does it stay the same size? Absolutely not. The baby tends to grow. So once the mother has a child, right? Once this trade have the child, once this candlestick has the child and it prints out this bearish candlestick, we take our entry with our SL above that level. Okay? Does that make sense? If it makes sense, now type a three in the chat. If you're still a little bit confused, type a one. All right, everybody said three. Cool, right? So now I've explained these candlestick patterns to you, right? Um, You got your evening star, your bearish engulfing, and your pregnant lady, right? I gave you a multitude of different type of candlestick patterns that you would actually see happen in the market. Okay, so now I showed you guys these examples. Let me invert the screen back, right? And now what we're going to do is we're going to go look at live examples. All right, we're going to look at live examples of how this operates, how it looks. All right, and we're going to do it on gold. Okay. Like I said, if you've been on the sessions with me before, gold is like my favorite pair. All right, gold and silver are my top two. All right. So, right, price obviously was moving in a downtrend here, right? Because it created a high, price dropped, broke structure here, right? Created a new lower high, and then price fell, taking out that structural level, right? So it broke structure here, letting you know that, okay, there's a possibility that price definitely could, right, move to the downside, right? Because if we look at this, this is a higher low, this is a higher low, right? And this is a high, 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 higher low, higher low. The moment that price takes out a higher low, it's looking to do what? Sell for the most part, right? But it does not always have to be a long-term trend sell. It doesn't have to be a short-term trend. It can be either or, right? But this was a very much so a short-term downtrend, very much so, right? Price drops to the downside, but ultimately it does not take out this previous higher low, right? What it end up doing is it end up transitioning and taking out a lower high. So the moment that price takes out a lower high, that is grounds for us to be looking for that's grounds for us to be looking to take um buy entries. Okay. So you got your breakup structure, right? You got your new high that was created. You got price pulling back down to your deepest areas of value, right? Your deepest areas of value are your order blocks, your fair value gaps, right? Sometimes even your structural levels. But in this case, right, this is an order block and this is also an order block because this is the last down candle before price actually broke structure. So it's the deepest area of value. Then you have this one, right? Where price created this neckline here, price pulled back down, right? And created a higher low at this point, right? What you want to see is this is the last down candle before price broke structure as well. All right. So here you can draw your order block and you see how price reacted off of that order block. You got a major rejection, right? But you then have to take into account that there's also another order block here, right? From wick to wick of that selling candle. If you notice and you see here, price created a double bottom pattern. All right. Again, remember, if you've been on sessions with me before, guys, I've always explained, right? I've always explained, right? Market patterns can start a trend, but market structure patterns can also dictate a continuation for a trend. All right. In this case, it's dictating a continuation for a trend. All right. Because it created that new high. What I want to see, right, is price come back towards that level, right? It creates the double bottom. We see a bullish engulfing candlestick close above here. And then we also see a pregnant lady close above the order block there as well. Okay. You take your entry. You can either take it here as an aggressive entry or you can wait for another bullish candle to come to take your entry, which your SLs below your area of value, and you're aiming towards the high. So it would look something like this, right? If you want to be conservative, you will wait for another bullish candlestick and your SL will be below your area of value, right? And we're aiming towards the highs, right? See, you dealt with a little bit of drawdown, right? But then price end up taking off. Okay. Remember, these are the same candlestick patterns that I literally just showed you, right? The same ones. You got your break of structure, right? You got price creating that new high to where it's retesting. Now, where could price retest? Back to the last down candle before price broke structure. Did price come there? It most certainly did, but it also reached a fair value gap level. So let me mark both of those off. From wick to wick of the selling candle, right? Gives you your order block. You see how price tapped your order block and rejected very strong. But it also is a fair value gap here, right? From wick to wick of these two candles, right? Let me zoom in. What makes it a fair value gap? Well, this candle's wick and this candle's wick don't meet in the in between part of this body. So that's what gives us the fair value gap level. And let me label that as such. If we move this across, we see how price not only respected this order block, but it also even respected this fair value gap, right? The moment we see this rejection, the moment we see price closing above bullish is the moment that we take our entry, right? And we're taking it back above the highs. Okay? Does that make sense thus far? If it makes sense, type of PO3 in the chat. Okay, good. Good. So gave you guys that example in a buying state, right? Well, let's go look at it in a sell state, right? Let's go look at this in a sell state. We're going to delete all of this, right? We're going to delete this. We don't need it, right? We went over it. All right. Let's find a downtrend. Let's find a pretty good downtrend that we can take a look at. All right. Excuse me. This is a pretty, I guess you can consider this a pretty cool entry. Actually, matter of fact, we're gonna go to another pair. Let's go to just CAD CHF. and we're gonna see if we can find something, right? I did call this trade in the community, guys. This trade hit our TP1 at 50 pips. It's definitely still setting itself up to continue to drop, but I can even go over this setup for you guys, right? In the selling sentiment, right? So what we end up getting, right, is you got a high that was created. This higher low is broken. Remember, when higher lows are broken, right? We want to see price retest back to an area of value on the back end, right? So when price created this new low, it retested back up to this level, right, of a fair value gap. Because if we take a look at this from wick of this candle to wick of this candle, right, price has respected and continuously could not close back above this level, right? But what we want to see, remember, we want to see candles close below. We want to see candles close below. We want to see candles close below, right? The moment we see candles closing below is the moment that we know we can potentially take action, right, to the downside. So if we come here, price creates that new low. Where is the last up candle before price broke structure, right? In this case, because we're moving in a downtrend now, where's the last up candle before price broke structure? If we look at this, right? This entire buying candle, is it the deepest? No, it's not the deepest, but it is, right, a significant one. Why? Because this is one of the last ones before it broke structure to the downside. But then you also even have one up here, right? And then you also have one here. So price could definitely reach these levels in the future. It doesn't have to be right now, but eventually it probably will reach these areas of value that it necessarily hasn't touched yet. All right. So when it created this new low, price came back to this order block, right? We got to close under here once, and then you got to close under here twice, and even a third time. All right. We entered, I believe, over here, right? We held it throughout the week. It took some time and then it eventually fell to the downside. Okay. So, did that make sense to you guys? Right. I'm going to explain another example, but I just hope that made sense to you guys. If it did, again, like I said, type of PO3 in the chat. If not, type of one, and then we can go over it again. All right. So we went over the downtrend for another pair. Let's find another area of value that we can attack the market within. You know what I mean? So let's find another downtrending market. All right. Again, all right. This situation right here with this particular setup is impulse move this way, or impulse move this way. Right? That's literally what it was. But then what ended up happening is price respected this certain level here. All right. And because it respected that certain level right there, right, it gives us the break of structure. Price creates that new low, right? It continuously taking out lows, creates the new low. Then what does price do? Respects this level of structure, pushes back up to the upside, right? And then does what? It finds an order block. An order block is also a doji candlestick pattern, right? That entire candlestick, right? You got your order block here, right? And what do you want to see? You want to see candles close below, right? And we got a very strong candle closing below. You take your entry, it sells above your high, right? And you're going towards the lows that were created. All right. Did that make sense? Right? I literally just broke down these setups to you guys, right? Broke down the market to you guys. So yeah, where you guys can be successful at this, right? Because everybody has the ability to be successful at this skill set. Every single last one of you, right? It's just about how are you going to go about it, right? I know a lot of people like things to be simple. I know a lot of people don't like simple. A lot of people don't like chaos, but a lot of people may like chaos, right? It solely depends on who you are as an individual, right? And you got to find the pairs that work with your mental capacity, with your mental confidence, or whatever the case may be. you have to understand, right? You have to understand, right? That's what it is. Okay. Price takes out that low. Can anybody tell me what type of market this is right here? Right? We went over it a lot. Can anybody tell me what this market is right here? And I'm gonna make this orange, right? So it's not the same color as everything else. But right, there you go, Kaden. Consolidation or a ranging market. Remember whatever happens before will tend to happen after, right? But then sometimes price may reach a certain level in the market, like right here, where price respects a certain level. And because it respected this certain level and price started to move sideways, what did it end up doing? It jumped in its other direction. Okay. So that's why sometimes, even though it may be consolidation and a drop may happen, sometimes you may get the drop, consolidation, and trade going back in the other direction. All right. Um, did everybody get that? Did everything that I've explained to you guys thus far make sense? If it has, then that's great. That's great. All right. So, and if you guys see, look, consolidation, push, consolidation, push. Right? It's just building itself up. That's why some people even like to call it a build up because whatever happens before tend to happen after. Okay? Everybody got that? All right, good. Does anybody have any questions? We're coming up on the hour of our call. Does anybody have any questions or any pairs that you want me to look at? And then I will break down that as well, right? I will break that down as well. So you guys can have setups going into next week, right? Because we don't want to force anything if it's not there, right? We want to be able to catch the most premium trades, okay? So if there's any pair that you want me to go over, type them up now and I'll go over it. Um, but with that being said, I'm going to play a little bit of music. And if you guys, like I said, have any questions whatsoever, just let me know. Um, if you guys don't have any questions, again, I know you guys hop on earlier a little bit before you get on with me. So I know Bobby, I know Luke, they probably put you guys in a position to make some money, right? I'm gonna put you guys in a position to make some money through the week for sure. But I also want to make sure that I educate you guys as well. Okay. Is everybody good? Do we have nobody has any questions? If you good, type of PO3. If you got any questions or if there's any trades that you want me to go over, then let me know, right? But I want you guys to, when price gets back to these areas of value, you guys gotta pay attention to these candlesticks, okay? All right. Seems like everybody has it, man. Um, I never want to like overdo it, right? We can even explain this particular trade right here, right? Price took out a high, right? We can look at this so differently. We can look at this entirely different. This is a lower high. It got broken, right? You break your structure, right? Price sweeps those lows right here, comes back to an order block, right? And it's looking to head where? Back to the upside. But here's the thing, price will definitely find its way to retest before heading back up to the upside. So next week there could be a potential move to set us up to have trades for a buy, right? Unless price says otherwise, right? All right, everybody got it. Everybody good. If everybody's good, we at the last 15 minutes of the hour. I just simply want to thank you guys, right? I want to thank you guys for supporting me. I want to thank you guys for getting on, right? Being students, right? Because I'm even still a student in myself, right? Right. I may be trading for a long time, right? I may reach certain levels right, already, but I'm still a student to the game, right? Always and forever be a student to the game. You're never too good, right, to sit on the charts and study, right? No matter the level of trader you are, you have to fine tune certain things that you do through and through to stay on top of your game, right? So, with that being said, guys, I appreciate you guys for hopping on with me. This session is recorded, and right, you guys, you know, this will be recorded, so you guys will have opportunities to check this out. It might even be on my YouTube. I might end up posting these live sessions on my YouTube as well. So my YouTube is the Silent Pip Assassin. If you haven't subscribed, go subscribe. My Instagram is Gary Scott Official. Also, my personal platform, right, where I do one-on-one sessions. I do have paid signals there. I do have free signals there, but I also do have um partner with PTN to give you guys free education, right? Because everybody's not in a position, right? We understand that. We want to make sure that we put you guys in a position, right, to be successful as traders. So, and you guys are connected to some of the top in the world, right? You're connected to some of the top traders in the world. So, I appreciate you guys for getting on. Like I said, I'm thankful for you guys. It is Friday, so enjoy your weekend, right? Be thankful that God woke you up this morning and gave you another opportunity to be successful today. All right. With that being said, guys, I appreciate you guys. And I'll see you guys on the next session. All right. Peace.